good, y'all? What is good? Happy Sunday. I just got back from church. The pastor today was going in. He'll always be going in on the sermons, and we've been talking about Habakkuk these last couple of weeks. I've been dealing with a lot in terms of, having pride. Like, one of the things that I have to work on, and that I am trying to work on, is having so much pride and trying to be self-sufficient and trying to think I could do things my own way. Habakkuk covers all that because I'm the type, I'm very impatient. Like, I don't like waiting, and I feel like God is having me wait for whatever blessing that's coming. And, it's just the things that he was saying today, and I'm gonna go over them just because I took the notes down. Man, like, he really called me out, I felt like. And, I've been praying about it all weekend, talking to God, like, what I need to do, like, what do you want me to do, asking for wisdom, like, asking for certain things and, certain signs and just certain, just so I can hear him. And then he always comes on Sunday with the message loud and clear, just like a smack in the face. I think today's sermon, like, hit probably the hardest of, the amount of time I've been going to this church, which has been like a little over 2 months now since I started going. One thing I was talking about is just that you always know, man, God is in control. God is in control of everything. And I feel like at times I try to be in control of everything. I try to do everything on my own, thinking that, God's taking too long, so let me go ahead and just do it myself. Try to be self-sufficient, and then that just ends up getting me more and more and more deeper with pride. To be proud is to be self-sufficient, and I've always been that way. Like, I've always tried to prove people wrong. I've always tried to deal with certain things based off of my own insecurities, and he was talking about that too. Like, vulnerability, like, for me, is like being successful. Like, that's something that I struggle with. When I surround myself with people who are just as successful or more successful, there have been times, and like I said, I'm out here just, putting everything out there. Like, there's times where I've, not supported that person just because I didn't want them to do better than me, or I didn't want them to, grow and like surpass where we were both at. Like, there's always been cases of that, but I've been working on that for years now. I've always tried to have the mindset to just not be in competition with people, but it's hard, man. It's hard when you got pride. It's hard when, as a certain age, like, you've always felt like you've had to prove yourself. Coming back, stemming from when I was a kid, like, I just always felt like I had to prove myself, to have pride, to stand up for myself. Always willing to be the top dog, always willing to manipulate to get whatever I wanted in life. And, that manipulation is huge. Like, manipulation to me, like, that was something, again, that I struggle with, whether it's in relationships, friendships, like, doing something to always feel like I can come out as a top dog. And, as I got older, and at this age now, it's like, I really gotta think about all the decisions that I make and I have in terms of like wisdom, and just asking God to take these things away from me so that I'm not still doing these things. At a moment in time where, we see these people with all these things, and we know they're not people of God, and we're asking, like, why are they getting these things? And I'm over here being a saint. I'm over here doing this, that, and that. I'm over here doing everything right, and yet this person still receives the blessing that I get. And God says it's like, you can have all those things, but that doesn't mean you're gonna have peace when you go to sleep at night. And he was talking about, like, people who have money, like, maybe they got all that money because they lied on their taxes, and maybe they have all this money because they did someone dirty. And it's just like, those people who have all those things are receiving all these blessings that we think are blessings to them. They still got to deal with the consequences after that. They're never able to have peace. They're always dealing with the flesh. Their ego and pride is building more and more and more because they're doing these sinful things, and they're, basing everything off of money, and basing everything off of status, and basing everything off of comparing their life to other people. AC just came on, so I'm gonna have to, if you hear that, that's why. People always try to live a double life, and I felt like at times I was living a double life, like saying one thing but doing another, saying I'm doing this but I'm doing that, and I'm just like not really going about things the right way. That's something I gotta work on, man. I just gotta deal with just not having pride. I gotta deal with just not waking that monster up beside me, like he was saying. Waking up and thinking that I have to prove myself to people. Waking up and thinking I have to, be that top dog, or that I can't come in second to anybody. Like, I always gotta be the first. I always gotta be the best. I always gotta be the greatest at everything. And it's just like, nah, man. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of having pride. I need to come to God with humility. Come to God with everything that I got going on in terms of my insecurities. And like I said, we all have insecurities. We all have things that we need to work on. It's just like all we got to do is just ask God. And like I ask God all the time to remove my pride. I ask God every day to, open my heart, make me more vulnerable, stop allowing me to, have these things run me instead of me running them. And one of the biggest things that I don't even know where it comes from. It's just like one of the things that I struggle with is probably like the attachment and the idolization of like money and financial gain. And I've always been the type, like I said, I've come from a background where I've seen my parents have to grind so hard to get certain things in life. And it's just like, money's always been something. If I have this amount of money, then I'll be good. And as I get older and I get more money and I make more money for my jobs, it's like, you still gonna have the same problems. Like if anything, they're gonna be bigger problems, and that's what they really mean, like more money, more problems. And I've always been the type to let money control me. I've never had that mindset to, control, like have myself control the money. It's always the money controlling me. And, that stems back to a few years ago, man, I got fired from my job. I've been let go from 2 jobs, in the 4 years that I've been in Arizona. And I kind of, at that time when I wasn't worrying about money, like once I got into that situation, it just something clicked, and I just like, all of a sudden went into this mode where I just couldn't, I always had to like, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? I was always hoarding money. I was never letting it go like I used to because of that situation that I was put in. Even today, like I still determine how successful I am based off of how much income I have or how much money that I have. And it's like, bro, I can't have that mindset no more. I can't have, like I said, money running everything in my life, ruling everything in my life. Because honestly, once you idolize something like that, which I've always have, because that's just what I've seen on social media, sports, anything, like money's always involved, and you're just like, man, I want that so bad. I want to have this amount of money that'll fix all these problems, and it really doesn't. And I feel like people tend to want to do everything on their own, and what the pastor said, like you building everything on your own is you're just killing your soul to build your own kingdom. And then once you have that kingdom, your soul is gone. And then you pretty much can't even live and enjoy the things that you have because you spend all this time manipulating, doing people dirty, doing all these things to build your own kingdom by yourself without God, without God's help, without other people's help. And now that you have that kingdom, you have your own place, you have your own mansion, castle, whatever you want to call it, now what? Now your soul's gone because you had done all these bad things, all these dirty things to people to get that kingdom. And it's like, I don't want to live like that no more. I've never been that type to, really do someone so dirty to get a financial gain or to get over this person. Or I've never done that. I'm not gonna lie and sit here that I've never secretly hated on somebody to, who ended up getting something I felt like I deserved or got more notoriety than I deserved. And that's just coming from, again, some place in my childhood where I got to go back and figure out like why it is that I felt this way, why it is that I allowed this monster, I allowed this spirit to kind of creep up and kind of take over my body and allow me to make decisions that aren't godly decisions. And one thing that he said was like, when we do things the right way, we think it's okay every now and then to like, oh, well, I did this for a couple weeks, so now it's okay to go sin and get drunk and all these things. It's like, nah, you can't do that. God don't work like that. And that's something that, again, I had another, moment in time where I thought back and I'm like, I've done this multiple times. Like, even when I told you guys like last month where, I didn't smoke weed for a certain amount of weeks and I was like, okay, I think it's time. And then I gave into that sin. I gave into those things and then I started smoking again, But now, like I said, like I got to do things and I got to do them the right way. And it's like, we're always going to have that temptation. It's just when we act on that temptation, it's like we're always going to have, these monsters that creep up inside us and want us to be prideful and idolize things that we aren't supposed to be idolizing, and just allowing ourselves to hate and allowing ourselves to compare and allowing ourselves to just do things because we have so much pride, because we don't want to come to God with humility. We don't want to come to God with, being vulnerable and letting him know like what we struggle with. And like I said, I'll be the first one to tell y'all like I'm not perfect. I never will be. And I feel like my whole life I just tried to be a perfectionist because I want to make my parents proud. I want to make myself proud. I wanted to be viewed as someone who was always the best at whatever he did. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to be bad at something. And I think, even going on YouTube, like I think one of the reasons why it took me so long to get on YouTube was because I didn't want to be bad at YouTube. I didn't want to fail at YouTube. I was scared to fail. And it's like, You know, everything I do, and I realize this now, I'm not gonna be the best at. I'm not gonna be better than everyone else. Like, there are things that I'm gonna need people to help me on, and it's like asking for help. That's another thing I gotta add, like start doing. It's just like being around people who wanna uplift me, wanna help me. Stop pushing people away. Stop pushing everybody away, and just learn that just because you need help, just because you want to come to God with humility does not mean or make you less than anybody else in this world. Like, everybody tries to be perfect when we're all imperfect every single day. Vulnerability, insecurities, everything. And it's like, I never wanted to deal with that because it always made me seem weak. And I came from a place in my childhood where, I got to go back and kind of reevaluate why I do these certain things, why I have pride when it comes to, not wanting help and wanting to do everything on my own. Why do I have pride when it comes to the way I look at money and just idolizing money and thinking that if I don't have this amount of money, that I'm not as successful as a person who has that amount of money? Like, none of that stuff matters. And, it's a battle every single day. Some days are better than others. But for the most part, like, I just got to be consistent with it, come to God with all my problems, ask Him to remove those things. And we're going to, see the other side, see the light on the other side. And, it's just something that I've been battling with for a while now. Like, y'all think my life is perfect. Y'all think everything is good. Like, I stress more than probably the average person over things that I should not be stressing about. I deal with depression at times, loneliness at times, like all these different things. And people think, my life is so good. If y'all think that, like, my life is very blessed. Like, I live a blessed life. I am so thankful for everything I have. But to those who think that my life is great and perfect and that, I'm living my best life, I am living a great life. But I don't want y'all to compare and think that, my life is any better than yours, because it's not. We all have different lives. We all have gone through different things. We might have gone through similar things, but, I'm just at a point right now where, I'm just waiting for God to do what He does. And it's like, you just got to be patient and know that He's working. And that's one thing I got to learn, is just to be patient and know that He's doing all of this to benefit me in the long run. I can't just go ahead and be like, all right, I'm tired of waiting for you, let me go do it myself. I just got to work on being more humble, being more vulnerable, just calling out my insecurities as it is. And like I said, we all got insecurities. We all got things we got to work through. It's a rough patch that I'm going through right now that I'm just trying to get over. And, sometimes I feel like I'm at my lowest of lows, but then, some days I feel like I'm at my highest of highs. And I don't mean that like weed-wise. I just mean like in terms of how I feel, in terms of my energy. So it's like I got to figure out different ways to get outside my comfort zone and really just keep coming to God with these problems, keep coming to God with everything that's on my mind, good or bad, because, I'm still working on that. And even with people, even with friends, like, if someone asks me how I'm doing, I'm going to tell them that, like, look, I'm not doing the best. Like, I'm okay, or I'm not okay, or I'm doing great. And just all these things. I feel like that's probably the number one thing that we misconstrue. We ask people, how are we doing, or how are you? And they tell us everything's good when it's not. And, I got to start being more open to getting help, accepting help, and just letting people know when I'm not okay. And today's one of those days where, like, today I'm good. Like, today I'm okay. But like I said, I can only worry about today. I ain't worrying about tomorrow, how I'm going to feel. Like, yesterday I wasn't doing the best. This past week I haven't been doing the best. But, every day is not going to be the best day, but you got to make the most of it and be thankful for everything that's happened during that day. And that's what I try to live for, and that's what I try to live by. So Habakkuk, that was what we were going through, in case y'all wanted to know. Short little chapter, but it's just like how to be patient while waiting for God, and just knowing that He's gonna bless us all the time. Like, whether it's a good thing, whether it's not the blessing that you hope, just know that every time He blesses us, that it's for a reason. And it's just to make us better people, and maybe to teach us a lesson. Whatever it is, I gotta depend on God for everything. I can't just start doing stuff by myself. Even as YouTube, I gotta depend on God to allow it to reach the people who I want it to reach, to allow it to grow the way it's been growing. Like, I can't just go ahead and be like, I'm gonna do it by myself. I'll forget God. He's not gonna be able to help me. Like, I gotta do this by myself. All of you all are the reason why I'm speaking on here, because y'all keep me motivated every day to keep on speaking how I feel, keep on speaking about what I'm going through. I'm gonna continue to come on here and be vulnerable, continue to, show y'all my humility and show you that, I ain't perfect, but I'm trying every day. That's why I made this YouTube, to show my progress, to show my faults, to show when I'm down, to show when I'm up, show everything. because life's a journey, man, and that's what I'm really on here for, is to show y'all my journey. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I'm gonna go ahead and eat, watch some Power. Last 2 episodes, I think, last 3 episodes. But yeah, man, I hope y'all have a blessed Sunday. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and stay blessed.
Stay blessed.